We're here with en CPAC Mexico with the president of Mis amigos migrantes, pues aquí estoy.
Total catastrophe, and it is a crisis.
Of a child, right there. All these NGOs, you're fake. It is this, the crisis of children.
It is a pleasure to be with you guys today. It is November 26th. The time, it is 6:42 West Coast time. God bless you all for joining in this evening. I would like to clarify a couple of things before we start. And it is getting really difficult by the day to inform these kind of situations, but we have to do it really meticulously and be really careful with what we're saying on camera. The oppression by the president of Mexico, it is a reality. It is not a lie. We are living under it's not a regime. A lot of people consider it a regime until this moment, but an authoritarian government, and that is the reality. So we intend to understand that what happened on the protest that I was broadcasting for all of you guys on the 15th of November, where Gen Z went at it with, specifically the government of Mexico, and they went at it one-on-one, and I was there, and I got gassed up, and toxic gas, all these kind of gases, thrown of us. A petardo, some kind of a ball explosive landed on my right side of my ribs, and it dropped me and it hurt me, man, really bad, and I had to go to the hospital. All these things that happened on the 15th, it was a demonstration of people just so sick and tired of this current situation that we're living in Mexico. A lot of people in the United States are wondering, well, a lot of things are happening in the U.S., and yes, they are. And as neighbors, we should be concerned of what is happening in both countries. Whoever says, whatever happens over there, if you're not from here, this, you're really an incompetent idiot, because we have one of the most international trade relations in the world, and it is one of the most important trade relations in the world. And the large population in the United States of America, there's a large population of Hispanics, Latinos, that they're extremely concerned of what is happening in the South. And plus, we have our borders. And the organized crime and the cartel, it is present on both sides of the country. So whoever says the opposite about, keep it up, it's so, the whole comment is so, without no sense, without no profound investigation, and just so close-minded, and with no presence whatsoever of understanding the reality of what we're going through. And it is important to address and to inform what is the reality of the country right now. With profound sadness, I intend to inform this. We are living right now a disastrous government. It is such a disaster. I have been informing under, our network, Real America's Voice News, the complete, the current circumstances of mayors and politicians being assassinated, and they're killing the good ones. I have said many times on Grant Stinchfield, with Mr. Eric Bolling, even with Steve Bannon last week, saying, Steve, Eric, Grant, they're killing the good ones. And that's what they're doing. Just a couple of days ago, Juan Carlos Mezua, a mayor of a mountain area in the parts of Veracruz, he was assassinated just hours before the president of Mexico arrived. And you go a week before, Carlos Manso, the mayor that it was confronting the cartel and going at it with the cartel and saying to the president, I need help, I need help, I need help. And the president neglected the help. It's just unbelievable that she neglected the help. And because he's not from the political party, he completely neglected the help. And the opposition and the leftists in Mexico are saying, it's the conservatives, it's the right-wing political party. It is a strategy from the right-wing political party with the Republicans to invade Mexico. The stupidity and the incompetence and disinformation that are happening between these bloggers, influencers, and creators of content to the leftists in the United States of America and to the Hispanics, it is enormous. It is the fight that we have to fight as communicators, as journalists, as reporters, continuously fight this disinformation, and between threats and between death threats and between accusations and allegations and all this kind of stuff. We keep moving forward because this is the fight that we have intended to go against. And more or less, the actual situation, which is, the increase of violence, assassination of Carlos Manso, assassination of a woman that was a consul, assassination of another political candidate, a former mayor in the part of Guanajuato, a former political servant, a political servant in Guanajuato, 5 police officers killed in less than a week. Now that you have this one, that it was assassinated, then you have the protests, people going at it. And the kids that they were arrested, now they are charged with attempted murder. Imagine that. Because they went at it with these police officers, that the police officers were hitting them in the floor 10 against 1. And all the kids were yelling, some of them, they were yelling, "Free Carlos Manso, Viva Carlos Manso, we want freedom," against the narco government. Of course, there was infiltrators that it's called the Black Bloc. These infiltrators, that they're paid by the government, that actually this government by itself, pay it to agitate and to basically construct and to make a ridicule out of this protest, which it didn't work at all, because it created a counter effect, and now is a fire that it was lit on the whole country. And now you have this, you have FIFA, the Federal International Organization of Soccer, FIFA. Every 4 years they do a World Cup, and it is the most massive event in the world, soccer. And they gave Mexico, the United States, and I believe Canada also, 3 countries, so they can unite and have this global event of soccer, in these 3 countries. A lot of the Mexican population are saying, for God's sake, we're going through a crisis. And we're going through such a difficult situation right now that the country, it is high level and impact of insecurity. And how in the hell we are hosting a international event that is so important in history. And we are hosting this event knowing the crisis that we are going through. Knowing the crisis that we are right now facing. It is a narco government. I have said it so many times before. More than 50 politicians have been exposed by the Department of Treasury of the United States of America. For God's sake, how many do you need? And then the state of Baja California, the governor was, they canceled her visa. Then her husband, they canceled her visa, former husband. Now she's getting a divorce all of a sudden. And now, not only that, the mayor of Mexicali, city that is connected to Calexico, California, her visa was canceled, also with her husband. The former mayor of Rosarito, another municipal city where a lot of Americans live, her current federal deputy, by the way, she was accused by the Department of Treasury of being in cahoots with the organized crime in Sinaloa cartel. You got to be kidding me with all of this. And all of this that is being exposed because the Trump administration has taken the decision to say, you know what, man, this is the only way that we're going to clean this mess up. We have a neighbor that also, the United States has their own problems. And I'm not going to lie about it. The United States is the #1 provider of illegal weapons and firearms into the cartels, into these terrorist organizations. Even Marco Rubio has accepted this fact that, they have to reinforce the borders to stop the fluency and the entrance of illegal weapons into Mexico so the cartels can be more stronger. It's a reality. We got to face the reality. The #1 consumer in the United States of fentanyl, cocaine, the #1 distributor with addiction. We already know that. But these leftists in Mexico, they're preaching about it, and they're freaking celebrating that they have cracked down 50% of fentanyl arriving to the north borders. And you're celebrating it like it's a triumph. It is not a triumph. That 50% was effective in the past administration of Andrés Manuel López Obrador. You got to be freaking kidding me. Why are you celebrating that? It is a complete disaster. It means that this 50% actually, if it wasn't for the Trump administration pressuring the cartels and pressuring this government And this is not, oh my God, Oscar wants an intervention. Oh my God, Vende Patria sellout. Stop with your pandering language and your leftist language to cut the freedom of speech. That is white supremacist, white imperialist, xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, pornophobic, fatphobic, racist, fascist, narcissist, bigot, and Zionist. That crap works in the United States. It doesn't work over here. Over here is the reality. People are getting killed. People are getting kidnapped. People are being discovered in mass graves. Journalists are being killed and threatened. We're not playing games over here, hide and seek. It is a reality what we're living over here. And the harsh reality is that, yes, 50% has decreased of fentanyl arrival to the north borders. All right. That 50% was active on the past administration of AMLO. Now you're saying, oh, we have dismantled more than 1,200 laboratories. We should celebrate that. So if it wasn't for Trump, if it would have been Kamala Harris, do you think that these laboratories would have been destroyed or dismantled? Hell no. They would have been active and that border would have been wide open. And the whole disaster, that border would have been non-existent by this moment as right now. And I'm bold to say this because we have studied all the borders from the north to the south of the continent. We have been in the Darien Gap 4 times. You are not going to tell me how the story works. So you're saying that you dismantled more than 1,200 laboratories and you're celebrating that. What is to celebrate? Those 1,200 laboratories were active under Andrés Manuel López Obrador, past president. Then you're saying, oh, we arrested more than 20,000 agitators. Should we celebrate that? So those 20,000 were free under Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Then you're saying, oh, we delivered more than 50 leaders of small groups and cell groups of organized crime to the United States of America. So what would it happen? What happened before? What took you so long? And some of them, they were still free. So if it wasn't for the Trump administration pressuring you this way, that you got some pamphlets and some cornflakes and some snowflakes complaining about these boats that they're being destroyed in the middle of the sea. Try living over here. And then and they try to say something about it. All these, wannabe, all these wannabe in the movement, all these Chicanos, Hispanic pochos, and all these white liberals, they're complaining about these boats with drugs that are being destroyed in the middle of international sea. Try living over here and deal with this problem as we're dealing with it, as it has been in all our lives, dealing with this problem. Try living over here. I dare you live over here. And try to understand the consequences of this. And try to understand that the people of Venezuela, they're not even complaining about it. The only ones that they're complaining is the ones that they are involved with the regime of Maduro. Yes, absolutely. They're saying, oh, it affects the sovereignty, and they're trying to come in and extract the minerals and take away our oil and invade like the United States has done so many times to destabilize. You got that guerrillero speech that Chavez had, that Castro had, that Diaz-Canel had. That guerrillero speech goes on the toilet, my friend. Countries are being destroyed because of the organized crime and the cartel. And the number one problem is these terrorist groups. They need to be taken out. And it is a reality. It is a freaking reality. We live under this pressure. You don't live under this pressure. You go on your laptop and you type these, oh my God, you are a Vende Patrias. You are a sellout. Type send. Oh my God, you are Mossad. You got this. Type send. Then you go get your combo number 4 at Cars Jr. Go home and sleep and have a good night. Meanwhile, over here, we have a huge problem. You want me to tell you what the huge problem that it was just discovered and it was just exposed by mother searchers and collective groups that they have been searching for bodies? We have been on this. I have been going with these collective groups for the past year or so. And being active with them and following them as they are trying to search for their family members. What happened? We're hosting the FIFA World Cup in a country that they just assassinated, and they're assassinating political candidates. In a country where they just did a march of Gen Z and they oppress all the young people. In a country where now you're seeing the 456 bags of human remains have been found since 2018 till 2025. 2018, who was president? Andrés Manuel López Obrador, Morena. Who's the current president right now? Claudia Sheinbaum. Morena. Freaking 7 years of this government, and it has been completely a horror movie, as all the past governments have been. But for God's sake, 456 bags of human remains, and this is not international news. Where are you, New York Times? Where are you, CNN, MSNBC, Democracy Now, The Daily Beast, all you leftists? Where are you? Where are all these people that they were waving the Mexican flag in the protests, and in the No Kings protest? Oh my God, no borders, no walls, no la 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 la. Where are you right now? Are you protesting for the Mexican people, or for our flag? Or are you protesting for a freaking policy to attack a political party? Because that's the way it looks. On the 15th of November, Gen Z did a massive protest against the narco government and the narco president, which there were thousands of people in more than 70 cities nationwide. They were going out to a particular place in the central plazas in that city and protesting against the narco government. I didn't see none of you going out in the United States of America and waving the flag in support of Carlos Manzo, the mayor that it was assassinated, or to your Mexican family members that they are in Mexico suffering the consequences of violence. You guys are hypocrites, because you're only going out to protest against a policy of illegal migration policy. You're not protesting because you love our flag or because you feel our flag. Because if you love our flag and you feel our flag, you would have been out there protesting because of the violence that is occurring in supporting our country, but you're not. 456 bags of human remains in a lapse of 7 years. Mother searchers in these search groups have found these remains. And what they are saying, it is incredible. They're saying that the police and the fiscal of the state and also other institutions, they're trying to hide it because they don't want FIFA, the World Cup, to notice about this complete disaster. And though these 456 bags of human remains were found just steps away in an empty land that is next to Akron Stadium. Akron Stadium, it is one of the host stadiums for the World Cup. You got to be freaking kidding me. You have to be freaking kidding me. This is the host of the World Cup, and you have an empty land or an empty lot where they have found more than 456 bags of human remains. So when people are coming from the world, what are you going to say? Oh, look at that empty lot, man, mom. Don't go over there, son, because you're possibly going to step into a hand, or you're possibly going to fall into a leg. What's going on, FIFA? Where's this federal international organization? For God's sake, let me just talk about this. Where's the United Nations? Where are all these international organizations that you preach so about defending human rights? I forgot. It's a leftist government, so you don't care. You don't give a rat's ass. Of course you don't. You don't care at all. But if it was, a right-wing government, you would have been over here. Oh my God, these guys are fascists. These guys are bigots. These guys are sellouts. These guys are the white supremacy and the white imperialism. These are bootlickers of the white man, coconut, all these names. That's the only argument that the leftists have. Oh, these are Mossad. These are, oh my God, here we go. Jesus, Lord, I'm just trying to live another day, and all these arguments all the freaking time. 456 bags. Family members have found bodies that they're complete, bodies that they're just on, human remains, fractions, bone fragments, and, bodies that they are decapitated, some of them. What a horror story, man. 456, you got to be kidding me. No wonder they want to categorize these cartels as terrorists, but our president has said in a morning conference, it is illegal to call them terrorists, by the way, and it is illegal to go to war with them, to protect them. They oppress the population, oppress the farmers that, by the way, I'm right here in City of Juarez, that in City of Juarez and in some cities, that's the next block that I'm about to inform, but it has to do with this. So the farmers and the truck drivers around the country, they went on a strike, and they closed more than, I believe that it was more than 90 roads in 16 states and more than 6 U.S. customs offices, international ports of entry to the United States of America, costing millions, because this is exportation and importation. You're shutting down the commercial line and importation and exportation line that has to do with the TAMEC, that is the international trade, agreement between Mexico and the United States of America. You oppress the farmers, you oppress the young people that they are fighting the cause, and they're lifting their voice in Mexico. And, let me talk about a little bit about these Gen Z people. These Gen Z kids, they don't have a political party. They are for Mexico. And let me just say something real quick. When I was at the protest, I got I got tear gas with a tear bomb, and it dropped me to my floor. And these two kids pulled me out as I was sitting down and trying to recover and trying to get some air, right? And they were watering me, and they were giving me water, putting water in my head. And these two young kids, they were like 16, 17, years of age. And as I was looking at them and trying to gas some air, trying to get some air. And they were like, "Are you good? Yeah. Don't go in there, sir." They said, "Don't go in there." I'm like, "Hell no, that's what I came for. That's where I have to be." It's like, well, and then I shut down the camera and I said, "Hey man, violence with violence has never been the answer, kids. Hey, youngster, this is not the answer." And he looked at me and he said, "Sir, how many years have you been protesting for the better of this country? How old are you?" "I'm 44. It's like, we don't want to go through what you went through. So this is the only way to mark a spot. This is the only way to send a message. And we actually have to do this, to send a real message to the world that they can understand the crisis that we're going to, because we don't want to migrate. We don't want to migrate illegally to another country. We don't want to go to the United States, cross illegally, and live far away from our families, from our customs, from our beautiful country. We don't want to go away. We want to stay here. Why is the only obstacle the organized crime and the cartel? So why are we not even saying about it? Why are we not just keeping quiet and shutting down? Why? We don't want to go to that process. And then I went home. I went to the hotel, right? All beat up. I'm like walking, limping, because a police officer threw a rock in my ankle and I had a sprained ankle. So I'm limping, coming back like an old guy, Getting up to the room, it was like the 6th floor. So I got up, got to the bed, and I'm just laying down there, all gassed up. I'm like, man, I need to take a shower because I got all these toxic things in my face. And I'm just thinking, man, I'm going to look at the media, what they're saying about this. And I go to the media, and I'm seeing that it's world news. And it created a flashback to where I was talking to these 2 young kids. And I was like, he was right. This is the only way to make a statement. I'm not a violence guy, but I made a statement. And now all these things are coming out. The country of Mexico, the citizens of Mexico, the farmers, the actual average citizen, it is sick and tired of what we are going through. We don't deserve this. We don't deserve to go home at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. We don't deserve to young ladies, being kidnapped, being abducted, being raped. We don't deserve this. Nobody deserves this life, really. And we're neighbors to the United States of America. The cartels have crossed boundaries. They are also in all the territory of the United States of America. All these violent gangs that they entered into the country of the United States because of the 4 years of Joe Biden, that he has a lot to do with the power that the current cartel has, because under the 4 years of Joe Biden, the cartel grew 2 times bigger on artillery, on land, on technology. And I have said this so many times, technology. A lot of people say, oh my God, technology. Yeah, the weapons. It's not the weapons. It's no. They grew on technology on how to recruit children, because they're recruiting minors through platforms like Discord to, Roblox, these games of Call of Duty. They're recruiting them through there. And they're actually using the kids to kill other kids. And they're giving them jobs, promising them all these beautiful things, jewels, cars, salary, all these things. And then they kill them because they do the hit job. They go and do a sicario job. Then they say, hey, man, let's take a ride. And then that's it. That's your life. They use them for their political purpose. Under the 4 years of Joe Biden, complete disaster. The cartel grew 2 times bigger on economy. This is a reality. It was a full trafficking line all the way from Colombia, Colombia, Panama, all the way from China, let me say it like that, because they were flying the Chinese to Turkey, to Ecuador, crossed them through the Darien Gap. The Cartel Clan del Golfo operated in Colombia. It was operating with Mexican cartels. And some of these Colombians, they were infiltrated in the Mexican cartels, transporting migrants all the way from Querétaro, Jalisco, all the way from Ciudad de Mexico, all the way to the north border. Making a lot of money. It was a full-on business. Adding the NGOs that everybody knows this story about the NGOs, that we have been preaching about the NGOs for years and years and years and years. Siglos de los siglos, amen. The NGOs were part of it. If the NGOs were at the border like, oh my God, you Tren de Aragua guy, you have been suffering the oppression of the sanctions of the United States of America and Venezuela and also Maduro. Well, he's trying to do his best, but he cannot do anything because of the imperialist government of the United States. Come in, let go, and do your crimes in Chicago, do your crimes in New York, and do your crimes in Denver. Go and assault and rape. Yeah, that's the NGOs of the United States, by the way. These are consequences of a leftist government. Everything. It's a whole disaster. It's a piece of crap. Let me just say it like that. Excuse my French. Oh, le placondé, ale como teleboomisi. Excuse my French. This is the reality. This is what happens. This is what happens, people. 456 bags of human remains in Mexico. And this is a stadium that is going to host the FIFA World Cup. You got to be kidding me with this. You have to be kidding me with this. Families are going to go to this place. Families from around the globe are going to go to this place. The whole world is going to be watching. How are you going to... what kind of government? And I was thinking about this, what kind of government has the decency to say, you know what? Let me just tell you how ridicule and how hypocritical and how disgusting this government that we have right now is. Let me go a little bit profound into this. So you have a problem, right, in your country. And it is the cartel. And you know that you got to get rid of it. And you know that it's killing your people. It is not the parents like these leftists. They say, oh my God, these leftists, always with their psychological games. Oh my God, it's the parents because the parents did not educate them well, Dorothy. Because the parents did not educate Juan well, Juan met Javier. And they both started assassinating people, or they both started doing bad stuff with children. It's because of the parents. No, dumbass. It's not because of that. Sorry about my English again. I'm missing some words because I get in the emotion. But I'm sorry. I'm going to correct that. I apologize for that. But it's not because of that. It's because we have a problem, and it is called cartel, organized crime. So imagine you have a president, and you see that you have a war inside of your country. And this war that you got inside of your country, you know the problem. You know the seed of the problem. You know the cancer. Before it metastasizes, you're saying, you know what? I need to eliminate this problem. I need to go at it. I need to go one-on-one with this problem. But no. In Mexico, red button, it is completely different. What is completely different in Mexico? Completely different in Mexico that since 7 years ago, and plus, we have had bad governments in the past. Not even PRI-PAN has been completely disgusting. Both of you. But this government, it is completely out of hand. Now, let me just say something before I address this. So you have a president that knows about this problem and says, you know what? They're actually killing Mexicans. They're killing political candidates. They actually want to do something for the people. This president, you need to say something. Imagine you knowing that this problem is aggravating and it is concerning your Mexican people. And you go on a morning conference and you step to the plate and you say, you know what? We got full bases loaded. I'm the fourth at bat. And let him just drive me to just throw it in the middle, man. Home run. The president steps into the plate in the morning conference and says, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I would like to address the situation of the insecurity in our country and the assassination of Carlos Manzo, the former mayor. Let me just tell to all of you guys that it's illegal to go to war against the cartels. And it is because of the imperialists that they're trying to invade our sovereignty. And we are not going to let, oh my God, when we heard it, we were like, we knew that she was going to say something stupid, but we never knew that she was going to be that bold. We never knew that she was going to be that bold to say it. And she said it. She cannot go to war against the cartel. She doesn't want to. She completely neglected that situation. No, it has failed under Calderon. My God, that president was like 70 quadrillion years ago. Didn't you learn about, basically doing it better? Aren't you a doctor? Aren't you the classified person to run the country? Aren't you the most smartest individual in our country to run and to put a better strategy to basically eradicate this problem? No, apparently not. It is illegal to go against the war cartel. And that lit up a fire. It's problem after problem after problem, people. It started from the assassination of Carlos Manzo, started exacerbated one by one by one. Then you got this report of 456 bags of human remains. Jesus Lord. Since 2018, let me just emphasize this, because these 456 bags were not found just today. It was a report that it was given out by these collective groups, and there's a Guerrero collective group, something like that. Okay. Yeah, Guerrero collective groups, that these collective of searcher groups, since 2018, they have been searching on this area, and they have found 456 bags till this moment. Amazing, isn't it? So you have all these problems growing. All these problems that they have been growing. And then you got this problem. The insecurity is rampant in the country. Undeniably, it's out of hand. Everybody thinks that it's not. It is out of hand. It is out of hand in the streets. It is out of hand in the cities. It is out of hand at night. It is out of hand in day. It is out of hand in the evening when you want to go get a pizza. It is out of hand every day. But it's out of hand for who also? For the farmers. The farmers, the architects of the land. These people that without them, all the products, a lot of the products goes from Mexico all the way to the United States. And these are Mexican farmers that they are being taxed by the organized crime and the cartel, because they're going to their land and they're saying from every hectare that you cultivate lime, or you put tomato, or you put lettuce, I want some of this money in my account. Extortion. That's another problem that has been exacerbated in our country and has been growing massively. That the cartel now has, hypothetical example that this actually happened, but I'm just going to say it hypothetical. They go to a normal barbershop and they say to the barber, you know what, I want 30% of what you're making every week. Then they grow and they say, I want 50%. The barber's going to say, I can't give you 50%. I'm not even going to make it for food. I don't care. So if you do not make it, I want you out. So they take him out. They remove him, not take him out. They remove him. They say, you're free to go, but leave me your business. So the cartel stays with all your equipment, all your business, and then they put somebody else to work the business. And that's how they take over businesses and businesses and businesses. And from there, they start money laundering through every business. That's how they take over businesses. And they have been doing that in every border close to the United States of America and in the central parts of Mexico. That has been massively growing. And it has been growing also with the farmers, that they're getting this horrible deal by the government on corn. And also they have been getting this horrible deal on water. Let me just tell you the problems that they're protesting. So this started, they did a strike, truck drivers, and also not even truck drivers, but also farmers. They have blocked more than 90 roads in 16 states, and they have closed more than 6 customs agencies, international crossings and border crossings, commercial border crossings to the United States of America, costing millions every day as an international treaty agreement. So what is the problem with the farmers, the producers, and the transporter workers? Let me just tell you why they are making this strike. 1, insufficient guarantee of prices. They demand that prices of corn or other basic grains, they say that they can't compete with the TMEC, that is the USMCA, imports or cover today's production costs. So it's too expensive, the corn. 2, rejection of the new general water law. They argue that the law threatens the irrigation concessions, restricts the transfer of water rights, and puts their autonomy over wells in risk. For them, this means losing land, production, in their future. 3, insecurity on the highways. Transport drivers join the protest because, guess what? The routes are plagued with robberies, extortion, and attacks, with no effective response from the government. And 4, lack of real dialogue. They claim that the government only offers meetings with intermissions who do not represent the countryside, and temporary solutions instead of structural change. What does this mean? That the response from the government, what is said is that they were going to do some investigate. My God, man, I get so upset at this. Hijo de su chinga. Ay, Dios mío, respira hondo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, on the morning conference, the president came out and said something about this. And sometimes I just want to cry out of anger, man. She said that she was going to do some investigations on the leaders that they're blocking the roads. You don't care about who is robbing, who's stealing, who's extortioning, who's killing, who's decapitating, who it is putting 456 bags of human remains next to a stadium that is going to host the World Cup. You don't care about that. The kidnappings, the extortion, the cartel activity with your neighbor, the United States of America, the cartel activity inside of the United States that is affecting your international relations, exposing more than 50 politicians that they're involved with the cartel, that they're trafficking or doing something illicit to your neighbor in the United States. You don't care about that. What you care is about doing some investigations to these farmers. And also oppressing the students and oppressing the kids that they were protesting on the 15th of November. You have to be freaking kidding me with this. This is what happened. So I was here. This is the customs agency of one of the customs agency in Juarez. I'm here still. And they took over the farmers took over the whole customs. Why is this happening? This is the customs right here. This video of us. They took over inside of the office. As you see, these are farmers right here. Inside of the office of the customs agencies of Mexico. No personnel. The ones that they are there are the farmers. It's closed. They're losing millions of dollars in trade with the United States right now because the commercial line with the truck drivers is also closed. It's also closed. What a disaster of a government we have. What a disaster of a political party that wants to convert themselves as a regime and wants to be the complete ruler and also the authoritarian political party of our country. But the leftists, they say, oh, it's the right-wing extremists. This is the disaster that it's causing. A complete disaster. Say the other side of Oscar that they're trying to regulate the water because of the wells and you're not paying enough of the water in it. That's their land. They bought that land. That is their land, and they have the right for their water. It's their land, and they're paying taxes. out of the tax that they're paying on the high price of corn, and also the tax that they're paying because of the tax of the cartel that is going over there every week, asking them for a 20% or a 30% over every bucket or every box of lime, every box of lemons, every box of lettuce, every box of tomato. Gotta be kidding me with this. You have to be kidding me. The whole country, it is a complete disaster right now, and it is showing it to the world. And you know what? This is the thing. And I want to say this. The leftists in our country of Mexico, and also the leftists inside of the Hispanics that they follow Sheinbaum and they follow Morena, that they don't live under a catastrophe in our land and they don't live in our country of Mexico, but they wave their Mexican flag when it's time to protest. Yeah. They don't know. But after the protest of Gen Z, her approval was at 71%, supposedly, that I don't believe, not even 1 cent. Her approval after that dropped to 41%. 41 people. From 71 to 41. Drop like hotcakes. She's done with that. I don't know where she's. And you know what she said? You know, talking about being an imperialist. You want to be an imperialist? So after the protest, you know what she came out saying? That protest was insignificant. I am invincible. We are invincible. Like, what the hell? Are you a king or what the? What? Yes, master. Yes, master. You come from Mars. Yes, master. You got a lot of knowledge. Oh my God, you're a god or what? Oh my God, yes, master. What the hell is that? Talk about an authoritarian speech. Isn't it incredible? Look at the two topics that I touch a lot of topics of what is going on in Mexico, but this last one, you're gonna be so incredibly shocked. And you're gonna be shocked because this has to do with the numbers that the Mexican government is delivering to Kristi Noem, to Pam Bondi, to Marco Rubio, to the Trump administration, whoever it is. These are the numbers that they're delivering, right? So when they're asking, hey, so you have cracked, because they have the 25% tariff still active. So when they say, oh, you know what, hey, Sheinbaum, so how you been doing with the cartel? The violence that it has been, that it has been doing, in your country. How's that? Well, President Trump, we have been, cracking down on the trafficking of fentanyl 50% on your country. Oh, wow, that's great. But I've been hearing a lot of killings, Miss Sheinbaum. No, that's wrong. The homicide rate, the tendency of homicides has been going down. Oh, wow. Can you show me a statistic? Yes, look, all these homicides that occurred on this, let me just hypothetically say June, look how they were before and look how it has going down. Oh, wow, look at that. You know why I have been saying this for, I believe, more than a year. Since I've been going with these search groups, searching for mass graves, that they were dug by the organized crime and that kind of thing. The mother searchers, they say, when they find a decapitated head, or when they find a body that was tied up, or when they see signs of torture, the fiscal general of the state in the majority of the country, in every state, they classified that body not as a homicide. They put it as an accident, a suicide, an overdose, or a manslaughter. That's why the tendency of homicides has been completely going down. You want to see the evidence? How ridiculous this evidence is? This is the fiscal general of the state of the Baja California, where I live, by the way. They discovered a man wrapped up in a sheet, duct taped, body, dead, and tied from the legs and the hands. And she went on a press conference. And guess what she said? Before I play the video, you're going to be shocked because it's in Spanish, but I will translate. They ask her, hey, what's up with this man that it was discovered in the street? It was tied from hands to the feet, wrapped up in a blank, white sheet, duct taped. What's up with this? How can you can you explain what happened to him? And she said, oh, the authorities classified it as an overdose. He had alcohol problems. And it was an overdose. I'm not even lying about this. You're going to see the man in the picture on the bottom, and you're going to see the fiscal general of the state saying it in Spanish with such an arrogant tone because the journalist asked her so many times. So, no, but can you tell us what happened to him? Okay, we know that possibly he was an alcoholic, but the aftermath, why he ended up tied up, So don't tell me that this man, he was such in desperation that he committed suicide. And when he was dying, he managed the way to wrapped up in a blank white sheet and tied from head. Like what? I'm not even lying. Listen to this. Look at this in the bottom. This is why your tendency of homicides are way down. That's the body that it was found. And that's the body that she said that this individual right here died because he was in an overdose of alcohol. Yeah. Hear her out.
Sí, bueno, se advierte que tiene apariencia de una muerte, pues por una sobredosis.
Apparently, yes, you're talking about the man that it was discovered on a sheet. Yeah, apparently it was what we see in the investigation. It was an overdose.
Sí, sin intervención de un tercero.
Without another third party intervening.
Sin embargo, estamos ahorita en la etapa esa de...
But due to the fact we are on that stage of finding more evidence.
Más evidencia.
Then the questions start, right? The questions from the journalists, because you're not playing stupid. These are really high qualified journalists. In Baja California, you have high quality journalists. You're not making them stupid. So immediately the questions are like, yeah, we understand that possibly he had an overdose, but how in the hell he got tied up when he was overdosing? Like, explain it to me. And this is what she said.
Cirrhosis.
Yeah, cirrhosis. Cirrhosis. Let me find how you say cirrhosis in English. Because I don't know how to say cirrhosis in English. Apologize for my translation. Cirrhosis. That's how you say it? Is that correct? Cirrhosis? Or is it cirrhosis? Exactly the same thing. So it's just, due to alcohol. And she said right there, look, it says cirrhosis on the bottom. Can you believe that? This is why your tendency of homicides, it is way down, Missy. President Chainbound, you're not lying to the world. This is the reason why your tendency of homicides, it is way down. And we have seen it. My God, Ryan Mata, filmmaker and documentary guy, he does excellent work. Good friend. He came to Tijuana and we went on these mass graves, right? And both of us, we were with a searcher group, right? And as we were with the searcher group, they found a body. And I think that you guys have seen the video. They found a head with a bullet hole right here on the forehead. And then the body was like half a meter away from where the head was. Later on, we have that report. Later on, the searcher group gave the fiscal general of the state, gave them the result of the autopsy and all that. And they said that it was an accident, involuntary manslaughter, that he died other causes. The body was found with signs of torture. He was tied from his hands, and you can actually look at the socks. He was tied from his socks. That guy was tortured. Exactly as this. Look the way that she says about, then again, the journalist insists, because you're like, what the hell? This is stupid. How can you have the boldness to say, oh my God, this guy died of cirrhosis. This guy died because he overdosed. And he tied himself up and put himself in a blanket and with duct tape, with white duct tape all over his body. What it is wrong. And these are the homicides that they're classified. And that is why the tendency of homicides that they are classified as a homicide of the cartel or the organized crime, they're classified differently. That's why you have the tendency of homicides going down, and the Trump administration, it is eating it up like hotcakes. They're saying, oh my God, they're controlling the homicides. Look, Marco, look, they're beautiful. It's huge. They're controlling it, Marco. Look, it's huge. And Marco, yes, sir, I think, yes, the homicides are way down. It's way down. They're doing a good job. No, they're not. They're not, sir. They're hiding it. And this is the way that they're doing it. And they have become experts on this. And the left is going to say, oh, the past administrations used to do it, the PRI, the PAN. Yeah, bozo. Yeah, go ahead and do that again. It's not working. That's what you're doing. And this is the most cynical, embarrassing situation regarding these kind of homicides. And you're classifying it as an overdose. Look at the response later on.
Por una sobredosis.
He died because of an overdose.
Bueno, por eso te digo.
But they insist in her. They're insisting like, no, but can you tell us the cause? What was the cause of this man, being found wrapped up in a blanket, tied up with the feet and the hands? What is the result? Can you tell us the result? And she responds, that's why I'm telling you.
Apariencia de una muerte por una sobre.
Apparently, there was a death of an overdose. Ladies and gentlemen, in the live, I have almost 2,000 people on this live. Only streaming on YouTube and also on X. How's everybody doing? God bless you all that are joining in on this live feed. Buy me a coffee is right there. Pin on the chat on YouTube if you guys like to support my independent reporting and travel fund. God bless you. Thank you. We need it more than ever. Going back to this. Ladies and gentlemen, on this live, who thinks that this guy died of an overdose? Does anybody in the audience have the audacity to say, yeah, he overdosed, but before he did, he managed to just wrap himself in a blanket. Then he did a David Copperfield, and he was watching David Copperfield since he was 5. So he knew how to do it, Oscar. He knew how to do it. And he tied himself up. I believe that yeah. That's the situation of our country right now. Isn't it incredible? In these kind of situations, you cannot make the journalists stupid. Because we have seen this kind of activity all of our lives in our country of Mexico, in the city of Tijuana. I've seen it so many times. I've seen them when I'm driving sometimes in the morning, and you're like, oh my God, that's a body. Yeah, that's a body. Yeah, that's a body. We have seen it. Every single Mexican, possibly in the states that there are borders, they have seen some kind of this kind of activity in their lives. And we already know that it's a hit job. You know, it's an organized crime, is the cartel. They're the ones that are doing it. But it's just so amazing when you have a government. This is why they're saying it is the fault of the governments and the municipal and the mayors. No, it's not. It is the head of the pyramid. It is the one that calls the shots. It is the one that puts the example of how the country is being run. And when you go on a morning conference and you say that all hugs, no bullets, and then you say that it's illegal to go to war against the cartel, then you have this problem. You have this problem that all these public servants, they will go on public and be just so bold, without no vergüenza, without no shame at all. And they will say, this was an overdose. When everybody knows that it was not. But obviously she's so emphatic and stubborn to say it was an overdose and you better shut up, because if you don't, I will go after you, cancel all your social media and extortion you. Yes, ma'am, it was an overdose. Of course. He died of cirrhosis. It looks like that. This is why she wants control of communications. This is why the president of Mexico not only wants control of communications, but also wants control of social media. She's also going after the influencers, bloggers that they're going against the narrative right now of what is happening in our country. More bloggers, more influencers are getting assassinated. It's incredible. You know, the whole purpose of showing you this video, it is not only to make you understand and to see, you know, the violence we already know that it's happening in our country. But it's this cynical attitude of these public servants that they think that they have a stupid population. And it is an insult to the intelligence of the every average day Mexican that they have normalized our brains this way, that for us it is okay and it is normal and it happened again. And this is why you have these incompetent fools that they will say, oh, that happens every day. Eso pasa siempre. Ah, eso pasaba antes, hombre, como lloran, ahora estamos mejor, tan siquiera ahora dan dinero. That happened before, and it happens right now, but right now they're giving us bonuses to stop complaining about it. Same incompetent fools. Yeah, they used to traffic children before with Peña Nieto and Calderón. They were worse. Now they traffic, but now you have the freedom to say it on social media. Before you didn't. Remember? Yes, I remember. I remember. Those are the arguments of these people. Instead of saying, enough is enough. I don't care about the political party. I don't care about it. PRI, PAN, Morena. Because in my birth certificate, it says Estados Unidos Mexicanos. That I was born in la República Mexicana. In Tijuana, Baja California. Suelo patrio mexicano. Orgullosamente de guerreros aztecas. I was born in Mexico. I was not born into a political party. And now, ladies and gentlemen, on the 6th of December, President Sheinbaum is organizing a march. And recently, they came out on a statement saying, oh, yes, we're organizing a march on the 6th. These other Gen Z kids, snowflake kids. And they were coming out and saying, yes, we're organizing a march on the 6th to combat the disinformation, same stupidity and the liberals in the United States. Also to combat the narrative of the language. They used to call us prietos, patarrajadas. They used to make fun of us. And this is why we're fighting for the president and for the fourth transformation of the political party. So let me get this straight. So you're marching for the political party. You're not marching for Mexico. So on the other side, the contrast of generations, the Gen Z generation that protested on the 15th of November, they're fighting for freedom. They're fighting for because they want a better life. They're fighting because this is a narco government, because they see cartel activity, because they don't want to live under this fear and oppression by the organized crime. But the contrast of the liberal movement, it is we're fighting because you're saying bad words to us. And you are such an oppressive population, and so you're such a fascist. That's why we're marching. And we're marching because of the imperialistic. And we're fighting for the political party. So you're not fighting for our flag. You're not fighting for our country. You're not fighting for la verde, blanco y rojo, la águila devorando una serpiente arriba en un nopal. You're not fighting for our flag. I bet that if I ask you what is the meaning of our flag, you would not even know. Like all these people that they're protesting in the United States, waving the flag, it's because of my great grandpa that it was, do you know the first president of Mexico? What was his name? Who cares? Do you know what the red on the flag of Mexico's? It looks pretty, you know. It's unbelievable. The contrast of purpose of every march, it is completely different. One of them, they're fighting for freedom. One of them, they're fighting because they want to fight the cartel and the organized crime. They want to fight against, and they want to stay in their country. They don't want to migrate. What a beautiful thing. Like the Venezuelans did in 2007, 2008, 2009, marching against Chavez. Remember that scene when they were marching against the regime of Chavez, and that scene with the military tank going over people? The marches in Venezuela, they were more radical. They killed 40 students going against the regime. These people want to stay in their home, man. They don't want to migrate. So why don't you support the fact that you have a freaking cancer problem that is the organized crime and the cartel? Why don't you take it out? Remove it. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of institutions also involved from the United States. I'm not going to say names. It's a lot of profit. It's a lot of business. But more than anything, before I end, you know what it is? Hay que mantener los pobres para que sigan votando por nosotros. More than anything, let's keep them oppressed. Let's keep them poor so they can keep voting for us. If you have these groups that they are oppressing the population, and if you have all the time these candidates that they're going to say that they're going to fight it, they're going to decrease the level of violence, there's always going to be a social class that is the rich of Mexico that we don't know and we've never seen that country. Only the privileged have seen that country. And then there is the other population, the ones that are trying to make it, like me, like anybody else. That we live under this difficult country that is getting more difficult every day, but that we love, and we don't want to leave it. We love it so much that we say, prefiero morir aquí. I prefer dying over here, knowing the consequences of it. God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News, the best network in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please be sure to follow Real America's Voice News. I will take a couple of questions, only a couple of questions. I already extended an hour and 3 minutes. There's a question right here. Do the schools indoctrinate the kids in Mexico like they do in the U.S.? Yes. They started with these books that they have all this inclusion, right? And you guys know the inclusion, the language, and all this stuff. And a lot of the parents started ripping the pages of the school books. And also they started fighting the narrative because they don't believe in this. You know, they don't. So, a lot of people don't know this, but Mexico has a lot of conservatism and old school. There's old school conservatism, there's new school conservatism, and there's that libertarian that doesn't want to let go of the old school values, but still get attached. to the new freedom of way. Different. I got to get adjusted to all this. It's just hanging around with these young kids today and these Gen Z protests and all this kind of stuff. It was different. It was so much different. It was enlightening. But what I take home from this protest is that there's this generation of young kids that they don't want to migrate to the United States. Boom, you woke up the lion. Because since we were young, we were like, okay, the United States is where we need to go, where it needs to happen. Other than that, there's no other way that we're going to make it. And these young kids are saying, no, it's not. It can be here. Why? We got to take it over there. There's ways to do it. And you're like, what the chip has completely changed, because that has been the indoctrination since we were kids. Completely drastically has changed. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you all. It is 8:46 on this. I believe that is 26th of November. Yes, if I'm not mistaken, it's 26th of November. Yes. Let me see. Yeah, 26th of November. God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining in. Let's pray to Jesus that everything goes back to where he wants it to go back. We don't have the entitlement. We don't have that decision. Let's pray to God. We don't have that decision. We don't have that entitlement. It is him. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He's everything. He's the first and the last. So let's pray to God that everything will go back to where he wants it to be. Thank you so much for joining in. Buy me a coffee is right there, pinned in the chat. God bless you all. Stay safe. And be sure to be following our pages. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, please. Our channel on YouTube, I'm about to open another one because this has been so shadow banned since 2020. I started speaking, let me just say this quick parenthesis. I got COVID on 2020, right? And I'm gonna openly talk about this. So I got COVID on 2020. They hospitalized me for like 10 days. And I was on oxygen. It was pretty bad. And on the 7th, the hospitalization was for 10 days. I did not last it 10 days. On the 6th day, I got out of there. Because on the 5th day, they were saying on the 4th day, they were telling me, you need to get, So I said, no, I'm not. I said, no. You're the only way that you're going to get out of this hospital is that you need to. And I said, no, I'm not. So I said, the hell with it. I'm getting out. And I said, I'm if I got to fight you all, and if I got to punch you in the face, that I know how to defend with my hands. Of course, I know. I'm a former professional boxer, so I know how to defend myself with my hands. I said, if I got to punch you, and if I got to defend myself, I will do it. I said, well, sir, you got to sign a letter and that it says that it's your responsibility if you die. Okay, bring it over here. So I put on the letter, I put my name, I sign it. Okay, the hell with it. Stay away from me. Johnson & Johnson, that was the name. Stay away from me, Johnson. So I got out of there. As soon as I got out of there, I went back home. A lot of people were asking where I was. So I went on this live on YouTube and I explained what happened to me and I explained what kind of medicine they were giving me. And all of a sudden they took away my monetization. And I've been 5 years on this channel on YouTube. 5 years, people, not kidding, without monetizing on YouTube. 5 freaking years, people. And I have been trying again. And I've been going over there and like, hey, let me insist. And they're like, we're sorry, you cannot monetize. I'm like, hijo de la chinga. So I'm about to open another YouTube with another name to the show, have a podcast. We're gonna have a show in the next incoming months, giving you a little whiz. And 5 years without monetizing on this channel. I'm about to open another one because this is worthless. It's not even. And I have respect for this channel because it's all my audience, but I got to tell you all, it's they're censoring, they're censoring all content, and it has happened to a lot of people. But it's just like this channel should have been up in the 150,000 followers, 200, 300,000, I believe so, for 5 years. I got 56, and I got stuck at 56 in 2020. You got to be kidding me. Stuck at 56 in 2020. And from there, that's it. We're done. I'm like, all right, YouTube. You know? But if it would have been somebody just like doing the twerk and all that kind of stuff, you would have had like 350,000, people. It's crazy. So I wanted to explain that for everybody. I'm about to open another YouTube channel for people to understand. All right. And now, of course, I will be promoting the YouTube. Go and subscribe, go and subscribe, go and subscribe, go and subscribe, go and subscribe. A lot of my pages have been censored like horrible, man. X is doing exactly the same thing right now. X is being, I don't know why. It's all right. I don't get, offended by that. I don't get mad about it because the whole purpose is to send a message and clearly fix the problem. That's my whole thing. It's not about clicks and likes. It's about fixing the problem and getting the message out there so people can understand what the hell is going on, God bless you all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining in. Stay safe. And like we always say, people, God's plan, it is our mission.